I was pretty tight for cash, and yeah, and slightly drunk too. I entered that old building on a bet with my friend Tommy, for an amount of money that I'm ashamed to even say. The story goes that back in 1958, the hotel owner who had worked day in and day out, and even resided there too, went completely insane believing he was stuck in some sort of time loop. He apparently went missing for 13 months, and then his mangled body was found in a side alley of the hotel, after presumably diving out of the 26th floor stairwell window. His face was fairly disfigured from the injuries, but the coroner's picture showing his insane grin stretched fully across his face gave all of the detectives nightmares. Since his death, there has been countless stories of ghost sightings, poltergeist happenings, and even reports of several people going missing after staying in the executive suite on the 49th floor. It became something of an urban legend, even drawing in the customers, until it eventually closed and shut its doors in 1975, after a murder-suicide investigation plummeted sales and people just stopped going. Now, I wasn't one to believe in all of this ghostly shit or time loop bull, and perhaps the fact that I was a non-believer is actually the reason why I'm stuck in this mess. Emphasis on the word was, because I'm a believer now. Okay, so it's pretty simple, bud. Enter the hotel via the stairwell fire door, which is already broken and open. Yes, thank you. Climb the stairs all the way to the top, and take a selfie of yourself standing next to the 49th floor. Simple enough. Tommy finished with a single clap of the hands and a closed-lip grin. That's it? And that's it. And when you get back with a photographic proof, or even a video if you want, I'll pay up. He tapped the left breast pocket of his jacket, indicating that his wallet and his money was in there. It was the middle of the night, like 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm honestly not sure. It was pitch black, deathly quiet, and completely lifeless streets. I wasn't scared, but let's just say that basic human instinct took over. I couldn't stop smiling, and I suppose I gave the impression that I was scared. So where are you gonna be? I mean, like, were you gonna wait for me while I'm climbing these million stairs and apparently warding off evil spirits? I thought I managed to hide it under the humor, but Tommy saw straight through me, and a smug smile began to form in the corner of his mouth. Hey man, if you don't want to do it or you need me to hold your hand, or you want me to go to the bottom of the stairs and keep shouting, are you okay? Then the deal is off and no payment. Again, he finished with a closed-lip grin. I exhaled loudly for a pissed-off effect, slapped Tommy on the shoulder and proudly walked across the road towards the alleyway. Alone. Before being engulfed by the shadows completely, I turned to look over my shoulder at Tommy. Again, human instinct I think, because I couldn't stop smiling. He was attempting to keep his balance as he drunkenly slumped to the curb. Oh, that's good, I guess. He's not going anywhere anytime soon. I continued into the shadows in search of the broken fire door, and that leads directly into the building. The rumor has it that some teenagers jimmied the door a couple of months ago and the police, or whomever job it was, have never sealed it up again. I was just getting my phone out of my pocket for a light source, when a loud and rusty creak from the right made my heart skip a beat or two. Jesus. A beam of light escaped through the narrow opening of the door. The fact that the hotel is abandoned and has absolutely no power didn't even enter my slightly intoxicated brain at the time. I was just glad for some light. I poked my finger through and I quickly pulled the door open. The light was pure and ultra bright. It took me a moment for my eyes to adjust and stop squinting. I walked through the threshold with a smile, after all. I was expecting complete darkness. The building didn't seem crappy at all. Very clean and well decorated. Perhaps a bit out of date, but clean and smart all the same. As I ascended each platform and took note to what floor I was on, it progressively got colder. louder and slightly windy. Must be a window opener broken somewhere. 23, 24, 25, 26. The 26th floor was particularly cold and windy. I didn't like that floor. I swear somebody touched me on the leg as I made my way up to 27. Just the lightest of touches, but I swear I felt it. I'll run down those steps on the way back, I thought to myself. 32, 33, 34. I was getting pretty tired by this point, and apart from a potential light touching, no other signs of ghosts or demons or anything supernatural had happened. And I was feeling pretty good with myself for making money off my drunken friend. 40. Okay, yeah, I'm pretty out of breath by this point, but I had come too far to fail now. I decided to take a quick 30-second break, lean on the windowsill and peer out of the window in search of Tommy. I could very clearly make him out, but the guy sitting next to him seemed kind of blurry. They were in full conversation, their arms waving and flailing in the air with drunken coordination, and continuously passing a bottle back and forth. It seemed harmless enough. Got a new friend there, Tommy boy. It was weird to hear my voice echo and bounce off the walls. I sucked in some more oxygen, and I continued on my mission. 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 48, 48. What the hell? I stopped on the platform to catch my breath once again, leaning on my knees as if it would help my lungs absorb the oxygen quicker. I kept turning around and looking at the steps that I had just scaled, and then looking up the stairwell to see the steps yet to come. What the hell? I climbed another set. 48. Another set. 48. I stopped and I shook my head to myself. Surely I was just seeing things. I climbed another set. 48. Okay, that's it. Screw this. I swiftly whipped out my phone, took a strange-looking selfie of me and the brass plaque stating I was on the 48th floor, and I began descending the hell out of there. At least down is so much easier, I thought. 48. 48. 48. I went down 20 or 30 flights maybe, but at each and every level, the brass plaque still stated I was on the 48th floor. I went up and down them stairs God knows how many times. I tried every single door at each level too, just in case one was left open and I could escape a different way. Not a single door open though. They were all solidly locked. Deadbolted, welded, cemented. Who the hell knows? But them doors were not opening for anyone. I can honestly tell you that I had absolutely no idea what floor I was on when the idea of phoning Tommy finally entered my mind. I guess I should have kept calm from the moment I saw the second 48th plaque, but I was far too freaked out by then to plan that part. Yes, my phone had full signal. I quickly tapped and flicked through my contacts until I reached Tommy's number. I walked to the window and the phone began to ring. I could no longer see Tommy or his newfound friend. The phone was ringing in my ear over and over. My eyes widened as I scanned the dark streets back and forth, and back and forth. There was no sign of Tommy. No sign of anyone. The phone continued to ring as I pulled it away from my ear. The backlight lit up, showing Tommy's name and number, and the end call button. I swiped the red icon and I cut off the call. That was when I realized the time and date. 4:23 p.m., September 5th, 2015. Whoa. Okay, so firstly, my phone is saying it's nearly 4:30 in the afternoon, yet it's still pitch black outside, and surely I haven't been in this building for over 12 hours. And secondly, how the hell is it 2015? By this point, I had sat down on one of the steps, my left hand supporting my head and my phone loosely held in my right. I wanted to call the police, but I feared that I'd be made a fool. I thought about it over and over, and then I concluded that I would much rather be made a fool by officers than left stranded in an abandoned hotel and stuck on a never-ending floor. I unlocked my phone screen to dial the 3 magical numbers, when my heart skipped a beat again. I couldn't believe my own eyes. 3:45 a.m., 2013. What? I locked and unlocked my phone once more. 1959? Nope, hell no. I dropped the phone out of my hand on purpose and I let it crash to the floor. I heard the inevitable smashing sound as it hit the cement, screamed down, and I closed my eyes with pure regret. I stood up and paced in a circle on the tiny platform between levels, and then my message notification went off. I was pretty shocked that my phone was still alive, and never mind receiving messages. The moment I leaned over to retrieve my half-broken phone, a loud and brain-shattering crash echoed throughout the stairwell. Up and down and throughout, the sound reverberated back and forth against itself, which somehow made it louder, and I instinctively covered my ears. The sound was harrowing, terrifying, and disturbing in many ways that I just can't quite describe. It was freezing cold and whipping around my body like some sort of sound wind. I had to climb 22 more flights of stairs before I could no longer hear the sound and finally feel my fingers again. It was much darker up here though, but I set up camp anyway. This is now my floor. By this point, I had absolutely lost touch with reality, and I had absolutely no clue to what time it was. I sat in a slump and I began to cry. Basic human instinct. I still couldn't stop smiling. I had been desperately crying for a while when the lights went out. No. The sudden darkness gave way to the beginning of my madness. I screamed for a very long time. I screamed and I screamed. I screamed until my voice finally gave way. I imagined the inside of my throat as a chunk of raw meat that had been rubbed with coarse sandpaper. After my voice collapsed, I started on the walls. I didn't want to use my hands, so I kicked them instead, over and over and over again, eventually breaking every single toe. When the adrenaline ran out and I could no longer stand, I fell into a deep and agonizing pit of despair for what seemed like years. Another message. Oh my god. Stuck in my own madness, I had completely forgotten about my phone. I unlocked the phone full of hope. The light shot through my retinas like lasers and I attempted to let out a little scream, but nothing would escape my vocal cords now, so my mouth just draped open in anguish. 12:15, February 1st, 2019. This time I just smiled. I walked into this building on February 1st, 2009. My screen was only slightly smashed, so I could still use it. First, I tried calling Tommy again, but there is no dialing tone and the voice that spoke was not what I expected to hear. It was low and whispery, raspy and fast. Take the leap to 49. Take the leap to 49. I hung up, smiling. I tried calling the police. Take the leap to 49. Take it. Go to 49. I hung up again. My shoulders were swiftly moving up and down in accordance with my soundless laughter. It felt pretty good. Now I can't stop silently laughing at myself. I wanted to claw my own eyes out by this point, and I needed something to keep my hands occupied. So I decided to tell you all my story on here. I thought maybe somebody might get a kick out of it. Or maybe somebody can help me. I don't know. I kind of want to take that leap if I'm honest. The thought just makes me smile. After all, it's just basic human instinct. When my smiling face hit the floor, I thought that it was finally all over. The air felt warm as it rushed through my raw windpipe. Maybe it wasn't warm. Maybe I'd just been cold for so long. If you think you'd be able to keep your eyes open in freefall, then you're wrong. I can tell you now that it's impossible. I can also tell you that you will feel unbelievable agony. Is it worse than the spiral of insanity? Yes, maybe. Imagine the worst hangover you've ever had, and multiply that by 1,000. Then take a drill to your skull and repeatedly drill for 10 years. And that would roughly match the immense pain of one's head smashing clean into the ground. When the pain finally stopped and I opened my eyes, Tommy was waving the bottle of whiskey in my face. Hey, do you want any more or what? We were sat on the curb across the street from the hotel I just left from. What? Tommy was persistently and drunkenly waving the glass bottle closer and closer to my face, until I finally grabbed it from him, and I pushed his drunken ass away from me. I drank that whiskey like it was crisp and fresh water from the Swiss Alps. I took in a deep breath once I had finished, expecting to vomit the whole thing back up again, but my stomach seemed to be handling it. Perhaps my brain told my stomach to hold it in. Wait until the toxins at least reach me, dude, and then you can throw it up all you want. My mind was running at half capacity and I could barely think. My memory was starting to become foggier by the second, and I passed the bottle back to Tommy as I pretended to listen to his drunken nonsense of a story. But in reality, I couldn't hear a single word that he was saying. My eyes locked onto the person standing in the window peering out at us. The silhouette could only just be made out. They were standing in the darkness, directly in the center of the first floor window pane. It was unsettling, feeling their eyes on us, watching us. Tommy then accidentally hit me in the face with his forever flailing arms, and I bat him away once more. Dude, how? Watch what you're doing. Oh, sorry, man. But, listen, I lost interest once more, and I returned my focus to the person in the window. He was no longer there. I squinted my eyes as if to zoom in on the window across the road. Nothing. I could hear music, and Tommy finally stopped talking. I guess he could hear it too. The music got louder as he pulled his phone from his jacket pocket. You're ringing me from my pocket again, dude. Oh. I patted my own jacket and searched for my phone. I stood up and I checked every pocket I was wearing. No phone. Where is it? Wait. I pointed at the hotel building across the road and confusedly looked back at Tommy. Did I actually go in there? Huh? What? Tommy looked more drunk than confused, and I realized that I wasn't getting a competent answer from him anytime soon. Tommy, I think you should just go home, mate. You're too drunk and in need of a bed. I expected him to give me more of a fight. He normally does when he's inebriated, but he instantly nodded his head in agreement, and slowly began to rise to a wobbly mess of a stance, and I watched him slowly sway down the street and eventually out of sight. As I walked into the shadows of the side alley, I fell over something metal that clanged and echoed throughout. It was a crowbar. I couldn't see, but I knew what it was. I felt around in the darkness for the door, and I somehow knew that it was there. I popped the crowbar into a tiny slither between the door and frame, and I jimmied that fire door open with one swift movement. That was easier than I thought. A beam of light escaped through the narrow opening of the door. I poked my fingers through and I quickly pulled the door open. The light was pure and ultra bright. It took me a moment for my eyes to adjust and stop squinting. Whoa, have I done this before? 6, 7, 8. I take the steps 2 by 2, with my eyes constantly on the ground searching for my lost phone. Is it even in here? 23, 24, 25, 26. Was I expecting to find it? No. Did I find it? Yes, in the middle of the platform of the 26th floor. The moment I leaned over to retrieve my half-broken phone, a loud and brain-shattering crash echoed throughout the stairwell. Up and down and throughout, the sound reverberated back and forth against itself, which somehow made it louder, and I instinctively covered my ears. Okay, that's a really strange feeling. Have I done this before? I curled into a ball and I sat in the corner of the platform between levels. The sound wind whipped around my face and body as I hid from reality, and behind my own arms like a 5-year-old child. Throughout the howling, I could hear approaching footsteps increasingly getting louder. Someone's coming upstairs. I'm still slumped in the corner, but I now bravely raise my head. My mouth fell open in disbelief as the familiar figure came into view up the stairs. It was me. I'm surprised I moved at all. But as I, or he, or whatever it was, strode past me, completely ignoring my presence, I reached out to see if it was real. But he was moving pretty quickly, and I only managed just to graze his leg. I say graze. It felt more like I went through him. Through me. Do I follow him? Yes, no, okay, I don't know. Wait, send him a message. I thought. I unlocked my phone and got rid of my current Reddit page it was open to, and I typed out a message to him or myself or whatever. Get out. Honestly, I didn't know what else to put. Almost immediately, I heard the phone's tone vibrate down through the stairs. Surely he'd messaged me back. Will he though? God, I'm getting so confused. After waiting a couple of minutes and getting no reply, I decided to take a different approach. I had no idea what was happening, but I had to do something. I figured if I couldn't touch him, then I had to at least try to get his attention. I still had the crowbar with me and I acted on the sudden idea before I'd fully thought it through. I flung the crowbar over my shoulder, and I swung it like a baseball bat as fast and hard as I could at the window pane on floor 26. The single pane shattered into a billion pieces, flying in all directions, including my face and open mouth. Hundreds of tiny shards fly to the back of my throat, and I begin to gag and gasp for air. I swallowed hard, lining my windpipe with the sparkling diamonds, and I continued to swallow over and over to take away the agonizing sting. From my shattering blow, the sound wind returned and whisked up and down throughout the stairwell once more. I could now hear crying and whimpering in the distance. Upstairs. Was it him? He began desperately crying for a while when the lights went out. Shit. The sudden darkness gave way to the beginning of his screams. He screamed for a very long time. I covered my ears, but it helped nothing. After he finally stopped screaming, I guess his voice gave in. I could hear him hitting the walls, kicking or punching them over and over and over again. After what seemed like an eternity, the pounding finally stopped, and the atmosphere fell into the deep and agonizing pit of despair for what seemed like years. I thought that I would try to message him again. I sent the same message and I heard the same noise, but I still never received a reply. As I waited, I decided to go through my phone and reopen the Reddit page that I had closed before. I read the entire entry I had apparently already written, and the insanity spiral hit me like a crumbling tower of bricks. My phone lit up immediately. It was him. I mean me. I mean him. My badly cut throat could only muster a low and raspy voice, and I said the only words that I could think of. Take the leap to 49. Take the leap to 49. Go to 49. Take the leap.